Hey guys, welcome to the Pizza Roll Diaries. We will be having Alec here shortly. He's uh, behind, so we'll be waiting on him. But he'll be joining us here shortly. Um, Hold on just one second. There we go. So, as you guys can see, Royce is joining me in the background. He's playing with his cars. He didn't have school this morning, so I figured, why not? So if you hear the occasional ambulance siren, it's just him playing with the cars. But as I said, Alec will be joining us here shortly. I'll give you guys a little catch up on what's going on with the channel in the meantime. In the meantime, what we'll be having for our channel, in case you guys haven't noticed, is we will be having some behind the scenes on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 9 a.m. I figured since we're having the Pizza Roll Diaries at, Mondays at 9 in the morning, 9 o'clock is, pretty much a overall good time to remember. Plus, I don't like when things are, done at like different times. It kind of throws everyone off. So we'll be having some of the behind the scenes in case you guys want to know how it is to make a fan film, or how what the behind the scenes process is of it. Um, that's that's one thing we'll be doing there. And then on Wednesdays we'll be doing the CGI for uh, same time, 9 o'clock, so you can see some of the CGI stuff. So yeah, so that's what we'll be doing there. So all right, and then hey, there's Alec there. What's up, man? Think we got you on mute, buddy. Still can't hear you, man. So and then for everyone at home, we'll be on Friday nights. We'll be doing kind of a fan and film get together. So basically, you'll come for a film. We'll watch it for a little bit, and then kind of come. People from the audience can watch it, and kind of give their thoughts on it, and then kind of give their thoughts on just whatever's going on in the week in the world. And then occasionally on a Saturday night we'll have another Pizza Roll Diary type stuff. So yeah, so that's what's been going on with the channel and whatnot. So yeah, that's that's what'll be going on with the channel. So but yeah, can't hear you, bud. Nope. Can you hear me? Yeah. So back to me again. They gotta love modern technology, huh? It's a thing that fumbles around sometimes. So that's okay. We'll get him back. Um, so yeah, that was one of the things that I wanted to do with my current channel. Was, like I said, give everybody kind of a poke behind, kind of a peek behind the curtain, to show everyone, hey, this is what it's like to make a fan film. This is what it's like to, um, you know, check out how we do things. And because a lot of people have asked, how is it exactly, it's so hard to make a fan film. It's uh, it's I can never make one, and my goal has always been to show everyone, that yeah, it's easier than you think to make one. A lot of times, I'll have the script offset, we're just reading it, and then we go, put it off, and then we do our line, and then we grab the script again, and then, you know, um, we're just joking, kidding around. Um, and it's a lot easier than you think, and I think you'll see that from the behind the scenes. um, So yeah, I think it's for me going through a lot of the behind the scenes stuff has been memory lane. But that's one of the things that um, we're going to start doing on the channel. Like I said, about 3 times a week, Mondays or not Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, 9 o'clock. Um, so some will be really short, some will be fairly long. But just getting those stuff from the editors. That was one of the things I had asked my editors. If they still had the raw footage, and thankfully editors don't throw things away. So at least mine don't. Me, I would have, as soon as I was done with the movie, delete it and move on to the next. But they kept a lot of it. So it's just kind of just passing along those things to you guys. So that's one of those things that um, hopefully it works. So and hopefully you guys
How's
enjoy
that?
So oh, dude, you sound great, man. I love hearing your voice, brother.
It's good to see you on a Monday morning. Okay, I'm going to let me set my camera up here.
Right on, man. So how are we doing this morning, brother?
Oh, good. Let me see. Do you need any more light?
Nope, you're good, man. You look great.
All right. There we go. I got to do some videos here today anyway. So, how's that? There.
You look great, man. You look. So that's the Aries Bridge, huh?
How's the family doing?
Oh, Royce is joining me. He didn't have school this morning, so figured might as well. If you hear the occasional ambulance siren going off, it's his toys. So I was like, might as well join us, So because we got up this morning and he was having his breakfast and he was kind of sad, and I was like, "What's wrong, son?" He was like, "I'm sad. You won't play cars." I was like, "Well, Daddy will play cars with you when we're done with the video." I was like, "You wanna go in the spaceship room and play cars with Daddy?" He was like, "Yeah." So I was like, "Come on, let's go, turkey butt. It's okay." So
there it is.
Speak of those sirens, But so that's right, buddy. So what's going on with the different projects you got going on, man?
Oh my God. Well, different projects. I mean, obviously Axonar is the big thing. And we're hoping this year, now that the vaccinations are happening and all, the big thing is doing the shoot in LA. And the shoot in LA, just because some of the actors are, in their 60s and 70s. And not that JG's in the LA shoot, but for example, I mean JG is 70, I think. So we just, we're a little concerned that some of the actors are less inclined to be, be interested in a small independent film shoot, which is what we are. And COVID is really, as much as you hear about it shutting down the film industry, it's completely shut down the independent film industry.
Right.
And certainly anything that's unionized in any way. So that's why we haven't shot for 9-10 months, because, we just, you really can't. Now we've got a way to shoot. We've got a shoot that we're going to do here probably in end of March, middle of April. We're talking about this weekend. And there's another shoot that we're going to do. I'm not sure I necessarily want to talk about it yet, because we just started talking about it. But a scene from the full Axonar movie. There's a scene that is really awesome that we know we can do. So anyway, there you go. So we'd like to shoot that, because that would be a great trailer then for the 2 episodes. That is maybe one shoot one long shoot, but each one of those things is like we've got 2 days doing reshoots and 2 days doing that scene. So we could potentially make it one long shoot. We haven't decided yet. And then the LA shoot, which it's probably, you know, June, July. It depends how the vaccinations go, and you know, it's crazy. You know, it's crazy that we're talking about, you know, how much our lives have changed because of the pandemic. You know,
Right.
we have 400,000 people dead. We're wearing masks everywhere, and you know, we're talking about vaccinations. You know, a national program for vaccinations. It's kind of crazy. And then we have an insurrection at the Capitol from Republican extremists, and you know, like, holy shit, this is just, you know,
Yeah, that was
different times.
That was the thing. I was walking when that happened, um, and you know when I was walking to the mailbox with Royce when you know I thought, well, I'll check my YouTube out and I'll see what's going on, you know, because I go through my usual programs on YouTube, and I started seeing like shit that looked like, you know, just crazy stupid you know, shit, like, what is this, some type of a reenactment, like what is it, you know? And then you started seeing it on your top news feed. I'm like, what is it, like, and my stomach started getting queasy because I started realizing like what exactly was happening. And keep in mind, like, the day before was when the Georgia
Election, yeah.
you know, and so I went to bed all hopeful and shit, you know, and then this shit happens and you're like, oh God, like this is something out of like, you know, one of those like you know, apocalyptic stories, you know. Like, I had to sit down on the side of the road because my knees started getting like really shaky, like what the hell is this, you know? And you know, and this is the the third time in 1 year that we've had one of those events that have been like, this is going to be in history books, you know. And they say on the news like, oh, this is one of those events that'll never happen, you know, this is, you know, never supposed to happen, you know. But you really look at this year, this whole year has been just transformative.
Well, it's
and
easy to
scary
say
as
that
fuck.
Donald Trump hadn't been elected president 4 years ago, it never would have happened. You know, but you know, not only did he incite the riots, but he basically laid the whole groundwork for everything. You know, and that and right wing media, Fox News, Rush Limbaugh, and the likes, all those idiots on the right who have been, you know, fanning the flames of racism and hatred, and it's all set it up, you know. And then Donald Trump comes along, and he's just basically lighting the fuse, you know. And with all due respect to any of your viewers who voted for Trump, you know, this clearly wouldn't have happened if Donald Trump wasn't president. And,
well, the thing that gets me is and I've seen from the very few far right friends that I have, because I've told, you know, pretty much everybody, if you voted for Trump, like, please unfriend me. I don't want you as a friend, because at this point, like, I understand if you originally voted for Trump and you're like, you know, I'm going to give him a shot, because, you know, I think I've told you, like, I would have in the beginning, I would have voted for him. You know, because it's just like, you know, the way politics was at the time, it's like, man, this, you know, we need something different. Like, what we're doing is not working, so fuck it, let's just try something. But I mean, it's clear by now, this is not working at all, what he's doing. But the thing is, like, when you sit there and you see them, you know, they've got the Trump flags, they've got, you know, they've removed the American flag and put the Trump flag there. They're clearly there for Trump. It's after the Trump rhetoric. They're on Parler, and they're listing out what they're going to do. They say the only good Democrat is a dead Democrat, and you're like, what the hell?
Listen, it is a cult.
And then they want to say that it's Antifa, and you're like, wait, but they've taken pictures with Donald Trump. They've taken pictures with Trump Jr. They've taken pictures with Giuliani.
No, that's more lie. Listen, the cult of Trump, which is what the right Republican Party has become, the cult of Trump is based on lies. It is constant, never-ending lies. And the big lie, as everyone's referring to now, was this, that the election was stolen from him. Despite the fact there's zero evidence anywhere of any election fraud. I mean, like, as a matter of fact, like they're talking about the one case of election fraud I heard of was a Republican voting for his dead wife. But there's no widespread election fraud. It's the big lie. And these people are just so, you know, and listen, 70% of Republicans believe there was election fraud. So that means 70% of Republicans are freaking morons because you believe this big lie, because you get your news from Fox News and Mark Levin and Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson, all these liars or these hate mongers, right? What is Star Trek? What does Star Trek say about this? What is the first duty, right? The first duty in Star Trek is the truth. The truth. And what is the truth? The truth is none of this election fraud nonsense is true. How about being a good Star Trek fan and looking for the truth, which is not on Fox News? Now all they're talking about on Fox News is how, Twitter's censoring Donald Trump. You know what? That's called the free market, buddies. So that is your fault, Republicans, because you guys ran up this whole thing that, hey, no gay wedding cakes. We don't have to make gay wedding cakes. All right, well, guess what? Twitter doesn't have to serve a lying, pathologically lying president. So it all comes down to roost, you know, in basically an attack on our democracy. And listen, it is a never-ending, ongoing attack on democracy. You think these idiots are going anywhere? The 70% of the people believe there was voter fraud. The only thing that's saving this country from actual fascism and dictatorship is the fact that the demographics have changed, that young people are 2-to-1 voting progressive, voting Democratic, not necessarily because they believe they want Democrats, because they are progressive by nature. They're being raised that way. And that's what's going to save this country. I got to be honest with you. I can't wait for old white men of my generation to die off, because that's what's going to save this country. So there you go. That's my political rant for today.
Well, the thing is, for the people that sat there and they say that there's so much election, you know, that there's so much election fraud and whatnot. Thing about it is, like, every time they went to court, they were asked to provide evidence. Not one shred of evidence was provided, and it's the reason being is because when you have, you know, when you falsify claims in court, you can be disbarred. So like, it's easy to get up and lie in front of the cameras and TV and whatnot, but you can't do that in a court of law. So that's, to me, that's very telling. So regardless of what your personal belief is, you have to have facts. And then the second thing is, like, I really believe that, like, I think the Republican Party is needed. Because I don't believe you should have just one party. And so, like, anyone that thinks, oh, you know, Vance is, you know, he hates the Republican, like, I really don't. But you have to sit there and define, well, what is a Republican Party? Because you have someone what's that one guy who went against Bush? He went against Bush a few years back for president.
Al Gore.
Yes. So you have someone like Al Gore, who has what I feel is traditional Republican values. Someone who I don't necessarily agree with, but I don't think he's a douchebag. Who I feel like is, if he was a president. I see Neelix. It's okay. It's okay. Neelix is fine. Hey, buddy. So, like, you know, I may not agree with his values, but at least I don't think he's going to try to kill me. So, and if he was a president, I'd still feel like, hey, you know, I'd want to go shake the guy's hand because, hey, he's a president, you know. So you have someone like him, who traditional Republican. Then you have someone like Donald Trump. Then you have someone like Donald Trump, who is someone who I just feel like is a terrible human being, and
he's the worst human being.
I can't find anything to relate to him at all. You know, he danced like he's jerking people off. Like, it's just like, what the fuck is that? And he lies constantly on every issue. And then you have the guy who is wearing bullhorns and he's dressed up in Chewbacca's bathing suit. Like, what is that? So technically, all three of these people are supposedly part of the Republican Party. My question is, where is the Republican Party? Because
Well, the Republican Party is undergoing a civil war itself. And that civil war is between the traditional Republicans, the Bushes, the Mitt Romneys, those people who actually, Liz Cheney, the third ranking Republican in the House who voted to impeach. These are people that care about principles and care about morals and care about this country. They are the minority because even though there are other Republicans who might agree with everything Republican, traditionally conservative, they're scared of Donald Trump. They're all pussies. Listen, they will tell you, I just listen to the news and they'll tell you, all these reporters will tell you, behind the scenes, they're all scared of Donald Trump. That's it. And so the Republican Party are cowards who won't stand up to a fascist autocrat. That's what Donald Trump is. And Donald Trump is the worst human being, not only ever to run for president, he is one of the worst human beings ever to be in public office in this country at the federal level. He is just you talk to people who know him, look at it, Mary, his cousin, who's a psychiatrist, who's a licensed psychiatrist, and will tell you, this guy is a damaged person. He has real psychological issues. He has no empathy. He has no ability to care for anyone but himself. And, you have an 86% approval rating of the Republican Party. Well, that's because these people, unfortunately, they get their news from Fox News. They get their news from Rush Limbaugh and Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity, who don't give a shit about people. All they care about is money and their ratings, so they'll say anything. So what happens is they're all in this echo chamber of right-wing nonsense, and they think Donald Trump is not a good business person. Donald Trump has been bankrupt 7 times already. He's going to be bankrupt again, right? He is not a good business person. Donald Trump is what people who aren't business people may think a good business person is. Oh, he's got multiple properties. He has his own airplane. He's not a good business person. And no one who actually knows him actually thinks he's a good business person. He inherited hundreds of millions of dollars and basically has squandered it. So, that is what we're dealing with. And at this point, I was thinking of this as I was driving in to the studio here, and I was thinking, you know what? We are tired of you Republicans, and your nonsense and your Trumpism. We don't respect you. We don't. You are not worthy of respect because you lie about everything.
Well, it's the key word there is, and anyone that's listening who is Republican, don't misunderstand. It's not Republicans that I have an issue with. It's
Correct.
The Trumpism. It's the people, because again, like I love a good healthy debate and discussion. Like again, like the Al Gores, the ones who have those who I may disagree with philosophically, but at least can sit there and say, okay, let's discuss.
Not Al Gore's the Democrat. I don't know. Oh, maybe you meant John McCain.
That maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Forgive me. Yeah, maybe that's it.
John McCain.
There's so many of them. Maybe that's it.
40 years of my life.
Yeah.
And I left the Republican Party in 2000 when the Republicans chose George Bush, a man I didn't respect, over John McCain. And I said, if that's the choice you're going to make, I'm not one of you. And I was an independent for until I basically voted for Obama and said, listen, I may not agree with everything on the Democratic side, but these people care about people. And the Republicans, they don't care about people. They care about freedom, liberty. Yeah, well, guess what? Those are the foundation of everything else. I don't have to say I'm for freedom and liberty because I live in the United States and I vote Democratic system of government. Oh, sorry. My internet cutting out?
Yeah, your internet kind of. It's okay, man. So like the one thing that I think is very telling, is, like how Mitch McConnell has like 400 pieces of legislation on his desk, and yet that's supposed to be the party of law and order. If you were a party of law and order, you would at least hold a vote, and even if you voted no on everything, at least there's that. For me, if I went to my work and I just simply didn't do my job, I just let everything pile up, I'd get fucking fired. Yeah. And so like this is a guy where it's like, look, I understand they keep voting you in Kentucky, which sadly Kentucky has one of the most intellectually low everything.
Intellectually bankrupt.
Yeah. That to me is just, not saying everybody's stupid, but it's just like you keep voting in a guy who's not doing his job. And to me, it's one of those things where it's like this guy should have been booted out.
But understand this: Republicans vote out of fear. They're feared. They're afraid of black people. They're afraid of brown people. They're afraid of immigration. They're afraid of this and that, whatever. And the Republican politicians just feed them this fear, and that's the way they vote. Oh, Antifa. There's no organization called Antifa, as the FBI director came out and said. Oh, Black Lives Matter are terrorists. No, they're not. They're protesting so white cops stop killing them.
And that's something else that's really bothersome is like everybody loves, this guy until he says the truth, and then they all of a sudden turn on him because he doesn't agree with what Trump says. Look at Bill Barr. How many people turned on him when Bill Barr was like, nope, this didn't happen.
I didn't like that. I thought Bill Barr was a criminal, and the way he ran the Justice Department was absolutely unconstitutional and criminal.
Right.
But but even he had a line he wouldn't cross. Right.
Right.
At least he was interested. Yeah, he would bend the law and lie, as he lied about the Mueller report. And do everything he can to cover Donald Trump's ass and create, all sorts of investigations that, were politically driven. But when it came to, saying that the election was not rigged, he was like, look, there's no voter fraud here, because that big lie he couldn't tell. He told all the small lies, but he couldn't tell the big lie. And so, all right, but I'm not giving him credit for that, because that's what we expect from every one of our politicians, whether you're red or blue or whatever. So, hey, let's talk about Star Trek. Enough of our anger at the Republican Party.
That's the one thing about that. Like, that's the one thing about politics. I know, like some people will say, they'll get on Facebook and they'll be like, "Why are you talking politics?" And they get so upset because like that is a huge part of like your and my life. And the way I see it is like when you have people, they now are claiming unity. I can't unify with somebody that wants to, one, not only kill me, but kill my wife and child. Like I can't unify with somebody like that, not until this shit's fixed,
Donald Trump totally mishandled the coronavirus response, right? Our nation leads the world per capita in deaths. Why do you think that is? It's because of Donald Trump. Right? It's because of the incompetent response to the coronavirus that every medical professional will tell you it's got. And it's the politicization of wearing masks, right? I mean, how many people have died because some asshole won't wear his mask? Or, it's ridiculous. And, and all the Republican lawmakers who didn't wear their masks at the Capitol last week during the, when they were all huddled together, and now all these Democratic lawmakers are sick. It's disgusting. I have no respect for those people. So why do you and I talk about politics online? Because someone's got to. Someone's got to be out there pounding the pavement saying this is not right. We cannot treat people this way. We cannot run our government this way. And Republican white terrorism is not acceptable. And let's call it for what it is. It is, yes, right-wing extremists. It's Republican terrorists. That's what it is. You can say all you want about Black Lives Matter. Hey, listen, even the FBI arrested right-wing extremists for inciting the riots at Black Lives Matter protests. So it's all the right wing is the problem in this country. yeah, no one agrees with the looting that happened at the Black Lives Matter protest. No one agrees with that, But let's face it, that's not what Black Lives Matter is about, And Antifa, we're all Antifa. I'm an anti-fascist, aren't you? Who isn't an anti-fascist? Well, we know it's the Trump people. The Trump people are all fascist. They all support a fascist. And listen, I'll just say, it's like that old saying: all Republicans are not racist, but all racists are Republicans, right? And you may not be a racist yourself, but you voted for a racist. What does that say about you? You voted for a racist. Okay, you can tell me, oh well, I like that tax cuts because I'm rich, or I'm worried about. You voted for a racist. You voted for an authoritarian fascist. That's who you voted for. Why should we respect anything that comes out of your mouths from now on? We don't.
Well, and again, like I can't blame anyone who did the first time, because maybe you didn't know, or maybe you were, but it's like, if you did the second time, it's like, Jesus Christ, like you knew what you were getting into. Like, fuck, man, seriously? Like that's the point where it's like, that's kind of the point of no return. And then after he could end everything by just saying one thing, coming out and saying there was no election fraud. He could fix everything by that one
but then
thing.
he lost.
Right.
In his mind, he has to be a winner. He's so damaged as an individual. And any psychiatrist will tell you he is a damaged individual. He suffers from malignant narcissism, right? He is just a damaged person. His upbringing, the lack of love he got from his father. Just listen to Mary Trump talk about these things. He is such a warped and damaged individual, and this is why he has no friends. But anyway, my phone's going to die, so we should talk about Star Trek.
All right, Matt.
And
so
I got to get to work. Also, I came in to get some work done today.
So I take it you've seen all of Discovery this season.
I have. So
what was your thoughts on? Okay, so anybody who has not seen Discovery, go watch it real quick and then come back and finish this, because we're going to be discussing some spoilers here. Two things were brought up on heavily. So what was your thoughts on the burn? And then what was your thoughts on Michael finally getting the captain's chair?
Yeah, so I liked season 3 of Discovery was really good. It was good Star Trek. And I tell people, listen, first 2 seasons were rough. I know. We've talked about it ad nauseum, what we don't like about the first 2 seasons of Discovery. I like Picard, and I really like season 3 of Discovery. The burn, okay, all right. It seems a little far-fetched, and especially with the, with all the time travel you can do, I was like, oh, okay, and the scene where all the ships blow up, I'm like, why were all those ships right next to each other? What was it Comic-Con? Was it Comic-Con 2675? What was going on? So I kind of like, all right, but the way they handled it, I think that the worst thing about season 3 Discovery, in my mind, is the uniforms for Starfleet. It's like, really, come on. With all the great, we're going back to those muted tones, that muted, it looks awful. Even Admiral Vance, who, by the way, I wanted to cast in Axanar. Axanar's made, Discovery's made 2 casting moves that I was going to make in Axanar. Jason Isaacs, because we had a contact to him, and the gentleman who plays Vance, whose name escapes me at the moment, who's awesome. He was in Blacklist too, and he's great. He was in The Mummy. He made his name in The Mummy, and he's fantastic in everything he does. I hate his costume. Why is it Bajoran? Is it, you know, that? So outside of the costumes, I really like season 3. There was a lot of good stuff in season 3. And I think it's, you know, it's good that we're so far in the future. Again, this is where, you know, this is where Star Trek should have started. Discovery should have started off in the future, not in the past, which made no sense whatsoever.
Well, it gives them a sense of it gives them a sense of that clean slate mentality, you know, in a sense where, you know, starting in the 23rd century didn't really do that, you know. Because it gives us a sense of like, well, where are the Klingons at? Where are the, you know, kind of like it did with Navarre, you know.
Well,
You know,
it could have been easy for Kurtzman if Kurtzman hadn't done that. He, you know, said it 100 years after Voyager's return. You know, what he did, because he wouldn't have pissed off so many fans if he had done that.
right. Well,
right. Everyone knows I made a video defending Alex Kurtzman. Right. I'm not the biggest fan in the world, but I'm not a detractor. I'm like, okay, what you got? You know, I don't. So I don't have. You know, I don't feel that it's my need to either support him or detract from him, because I don't think that's what Star Trek's about. Right? It's like, is what's on screen good or not? And I just think he could have. I think Kurtzman, if he had just, you know, I know that everyone up in at Star Trek Discovery. I asked a friend. I think I told you this. I asked a friend. I said, "Does Alex Kurtzman know about Axanar?" And his comment, he works on Discovery. His comment was, "Alec, everyone at Discovery knows about Axanar." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's kind of cool." You know, so I don't know if the success of Axanar had anything to do with people say, well, they ripped off Axanar. And I don't think that's the case. I don't think Kurtzman ripped off anything about Axanar, right? Other than what? It's about a war with the Klingons. The first season's about the war with the Klingons, right? Okay, we did that pretty successfully, so maybe they thought that was something they should mind. I don't know. I don't know what Brian Fuller's plans originally were.
well, that was.
And I don't. It's their IP. They can do whatever they want with it. You know, even if we, you know, discovered the secret KGB files after the fall, you know, of the Berlin Wall, that, you know what they did? They watched Axanar and they said, what can we rip off from it? And then let's rip it off. If that was the case, I'd be like, God bless you. Thank you for.
Well, that was one thing.
In the future, because the fans would have been fine with that. All the animosity, I think, and you'll always get the animosity from the idiots who are all about, oh, it's too woke, or that's not what, it's too progressive, or why do I have to have a female cat? You're always going to get those idiots, right? But the Star Trek fans who had a problem with it were having.
Oh, I think we lost the internet connection for Alec. Well, I think we'll wait for him to come back for the internet connection, or maybe his phone died finally. Well, my thoughts on the Discovery season 1. I didn't care for the Klingon War. I felt like it wasn't really well done. I felt like that was something that they kind of rushed through, and then when they went to the Mirror Universe, I felt like that was the most exciting part of the series. You know, in season 1, and then when they come back, they jumped like 9 months ahead, and it's like, you know, you kind of skipped over what I thought we were going to delve into. Season 2, I really liked because, you know, Pike, of course, you know, that whole thing. So then, you know, like Alex said, season 3, you know, was, to me, I enjoyed it because, you know, it was, you know, I felt overall a really good season. You know, it was something, you know, vastly different from the first 2, which I think that's something that Discovery does good, is they establish itself as something different each season, you know, because season 2 is kind of completely different from season 1. Season 3 is completely different from season, 1 and 2. So each season's been something completely different. So you just don't know what you're going to get each season. It doesn't feel stagnant. I don't feel. But that's been my take on the Discovery stuff. It stays kind of relevant with what it's talking about. Like the Klingon War. I just felt could have been handled a little better. And I feel like if they had waited for the Klingons, if they had started in the 32nd century, like we could have had those Klingons have a different look, and it would have felt appropriate. Whereas having them be in the 23rd century just wouldn't, just didn't look the same. So Jim LLC. First, let me go through now that I'm not focused on a guest at the moment. I can look and welcome everybody. Robert Pearson, hello. Jim's Landscape, hello. Sean Reimer, hello. Claude Sailing, hello. Thorson Stitchway, hello. Forgive me if I'm butchering names. Rambling Canuck, hello. Dee Myers, hello. Okay, and I saw Alec in the guest thing and then showed back off. I think he's having internet problems, honestly. So Alec, if you see this at home, I see you. You're trying to come in, man. But so Dee Myers, the new Enterprise is cool. Yeah, I liked it. I really did. I know some people gave it some crap, saying that it doesn't quite match up with Cage era stuff, but it's reinterpretation. You can't really. Hold on. How are we doing, Alec?
Good. My phone died, so I just grabbed my laptop.
Oh, right on, man. So Dee Myers said the new Enterprise is cool, the one from Discovery. I liked it. Some people. I had this conversation. I think I had it with John Atkin after we went off the air. I think it might have been him that I was talking to, or it might have been with Victoria while I was on my way home from work. I don't know, but like my feeling on it is I don't mind the updated Enterprise for Discovery. I don't like all the little flying ships. That kind of bothered me, but I like the updated Enterprise because I kind of see it as when you have something like that's updated, I prefer the way they did it in Discovery as opposed to like the JJ Enterprise, because the JJ Enterprise never really felt like the Enterprise. That just felt very off. Because outside the captain's chair and then the two stations in front, everything else just felt like this doesn't feel like the bridge. But when you look at Discovery's Enterprise, like that felt like, a very TOS era Enterprise, So I prefer, I like that, even though like I would love to go film on a Cage era, a Pike era bridge, looking at this one, like I have no problem with the way they updated it, for a modern audience. It feels like an updated Kirk bridge. What were your thoughts on it, Alec?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I like the Enterprise. I guess I'm not sure that, did they need to change it? Well, they needed to change it because they changed everything else, right? Once they made the decision that they were going to go with we were going to give it a visual refresh or whatever, which again wouldn't have been necessary if you just moved it to the future. But because you wanted to go to the past, I mean, listen, everyone knows what we do here, right? This is our bridge, right?
Right.
Our bridge is meant to tell you that we're in the TOS era. It just looks different. But, almost no one has said to us, well, that couldn't be 20 years before TOS. That doesn't look right. No one said that because we're so close, right? And It's basically a TOS bridge with different colors and different monitors, and no buttons. So we kind of taken the stuff out that makes Star Trek a 1960s TV show on a budget.
Right.
But what we did, Discovery couldn't do. Right? Discovery couldn't use this bridge. They couldn't. They couldn't have, if they said, hey, let's make the Enterprise look like, you couldn't do that because the new fans wouldn't get it. It wouldn't look, right. There was actually a Bruce Willis movie, a recent one. Oh, I forget the name of it now. And they came here to scout locations. They wanted to use this as the bridge for their starship in this Bruce Willis movie. Because it was a super low budget Bruce Willis movie. It was like a $5 million movie, of which Bruce Willis got like $2 million, right? And I happened to see it on Netflix or something, and it was horrendous. And the set decoration the sets were awful. They should have used this bridge because it was so much better than what they did. But anyway, it looked cheap, right? And so you can't look cheap to a modern audience.
Right.
And so Discovery, I have no problem with the Discovery bridge, as huge as it is. That's probably my one problem. It's just it makes no sense. It's so big.
Too big,
but other than that, like all the design of the interiors and everything, it looks great, right? Looks fantastic. Even the Enterprise. Okay, great. Just don't try and tell me it's 20 years before Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, because all of us Star Trek fans live in a universe where the original series is the future of 2256, right? That's what it looks like in 2256. So that was the problem. And I think if Kurtzman had understood that and not try and say, well, this is canon. Well, it doesn't fit into the original universe. That's where most of his problems came in. And the reimagined Klingons were awful. And that's where all of his problems came in. And with fans, I believe, because so many of us were ready to support it on so many other levels. And, all the people say, oh, the storytelling was weak and the characters were weak. You know what? You guys are going to bitch about anything. But so anyway, so back to your questions, the burn. Yeah, okay, I get it. I get the burn. I get it. I understand. Overall, I love Discovery. I thought the storytelling in season 3 was sharp. It was good. I still don't like Michael Burnham. I think she's a wonderful actress. But I just think that character is here's a character who grew up on Vulcan, who cries in every episode.
Well, I feel like I said while you were off camera, I said I feel like if they had started in the 32nd century, I feel like the Klingons, how they looked in the 23rd century, according to Discovery, I feel like they would feel at home here, because you would be like, whoa, what is this? Because it's 1,000. I mean, it's 900 years later. You're like, what the hell happened to the Klingons?
Right.
That would have felt appropriate. Whereas now you really have to kind of backtrack and go, wait, why do they look so different? My thing with the burn. I'm intrigued with this guy sucking up all the radiation from the dilithium and subspace. And my only problem is nowhere in early. You going up here, buddy? Yeah.
No, too high.
Too high. But my problem is, like, nowhere in the season did you give us any of those, hints that it could possibly, like, it would be one thing if I think I had spoke with Ramblin' Canuck about this. It'd be one thing if at the beginning, when Saru asked the Admiral, hey, my homeworld joined the Federation, and he says, well, yeah, I mean, you guys really, with your new abilities, really, gave us something, special. And he's like, what new abilities? Like, that at least would have been some type of hint of, the burn might be here, because that would have at least put an idea there, and then they not return to it till the end. Like, but there was like no indication. So literally, you didn't have to tune in until that last episode, to see those things. It was kind of stringing along the whole time. and I don't like stuff like that. And I feel like Alex Kurtzman, you know, he kind of followed what JJ does, which is, you know, we're stringing you along the whole way, and then now all of a sudden, boom, here you go. You never saw it coming. And I don't like stuff like that, where it's like, you know, if you're going to give me a mystery, give me something that I can follow the whole time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And listen, there was a lot of, you know, there's a lot of good storytelling in Discovery. I really, you know, there's a lot that I really enjoyed. So, so I'll give it to them, and let's see how it goes, and let's see what kind of captain she is in season 4. You know, it was kind of always leading to this, and I think they've set her. You know, I think that the challenge is her strength is also the challenge of her character. Is like, when does she? You know, how much of this is just, oh, wait a second, she's going to do that again? You know, she's going to save the world again. Yeah, you get it. You know, but you know, you borderline on how believable she is as a character. But listen, I'm going to accept it. We all have character. You know, I think captains in general have never been polarizing.
Right.
I mean, Picard comes along and people start to like him. No one ever said, "Oh, I hate Picard. God, he's such an asshole." Right? No one says that. I'm sorry. Or you know, Cisco comes along, and you know, no one said, "Oh, well." You know, I think the only thing you heard about Cisco was people were like, "When's he going to become Hawk?" Then up, you know, and then I'm in. And then Janeway, you know, Janeway was like a little milquetoast for a while, and then they started to give her more. But no one ever said, "Oh, I hate Janeway." Archer was hard to love, I think, a lot. You know, I don't think it was a well-written character, but he's okay. You know, so captains are never really polarizing. And then Burnham comes along and as the main character not being captain, and you're like, oh, you know, people are calling her Mary Sue, or people don't like her, and we're going, wait, sister of Spock, what? You know, because they retconned that whole thing, which was a dumb move. You know, so I think she has a lot. She has a long way to go to be accepted by everyone, and I think that's all due to the writing, the way they wrote that character. I think they just did. For whatever reason, that character is not particularly well written. I don't think myself, and I'm just a fan, so what do I know, right? You know,
Well, I think season 3 did a long. I think it took her a long way because she seemed a lot more likable, and I think they gave the character a lot more room to breathe. I think the addition of Book, who I didn't really care for at first.
He's great. Great character.
What's that now?
Great character. I love him.
Yeah, it didn't take long for me to start to like him, but I was very resistant. I was like, he's just someone for for us to kind of, for us to see this new century through it. So I was kind of resistant to wanting to like it, but I really liked the addition of that character because I felt like that really humanized Michael in a way that if he wasn't there, because I felt like, okay, this is going to be the new what was that Klingon agent's name in the first 2 seasons?
I don't remember, but yeah, I know.
Yeah. And that's what I felt like he was going to become, and he wasn't. He was nothing like that. And I really enjoyed the addition of that guy, and I felt like he humanized the Michael character. So for me, even though I know the story kind of had its flaws, I really felt like the end of season 4, I felt like that was an earned moment for that character, and it got me excited to see what Discovery had coming. Because I know we're going to get season 4 before we get season 2 of Picard. And because I know they filmed it.
We're getting season 4 Discovery first?
Yeah, they filmed. Well, they were filming back in November. They filmed both season 3 and season 4 back to back. So we're getting season 4 before we get season 2 of Picard. They haven't even filmed season 2 yet. So yeah, we'll be getting the next season season 4 next. So yeah. So yeah, I'm excited. So
yeah,
but,
I mean, I listen. It's all good. Picard. I can't wait to see the next season of Picard. That should be really interesting. And I look forward to season 4 Discovery because I think they're unshackled from canon, from offending canon on a weekly basis.
I think that offending canon. I think that should be like your new Discovery podcast, like that.
Offending canon.
Yeah,
A podcast with Alec Peters and Vance Major.
That's it. But all right, man, we've been almost an hour, so I will let you go. I'm going to go play cars with Royce and maybe have a donut or two. So
just one, just have one. Don't have two.
Just one. All right. But you, my friend, I know you got some filming to do today, so you have a great rest of your day, and I know we'll be hitting each other up sometime with politics and Star Trek. So you have a good rest of your day.
Thanks to everyone out there, guys. Live long and prosper.
Keep on geeking on, guys.